Hello, welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's short story. No Boys Allowed, by Olivia Julius. Chapter 1: The Pool. It was 94 degrees out, the sidewalk was cooking my flip-flops, and I was pretty sure I was going to melt before I made it to Katie's house. But when you're the only kid in the neighborhood who doesn't have a pool, and the one kid who does invites you over, you go. Even if that kid is Katie. Katie with the pink bike. Katie who still watches princess movies. Katie who broke my Lego Death Star when we were 6 and said it was an accident. Yeah, that Katie! But she had a pool. An in-ground one, with real steps and everything. Not the inflatable kind that smells like wet rubber and is basically just a fancy bathtub. So I packed my swim trunks, my goggles, and my dignity, kind of, and started the walk down the block. I knew Katie's mom wasn't home. She told me in the text, "Pool day. My mom's out, so don't be late." Which basically translated to, we can be weird and loud and maybe eat popsicles before lunch. When I got to her front yard, I could already hear the water sloshing and that little squeaky sound pool noodles make when you twist them. Katie was standing near the gate, waiting for me like some kind of royal pool lifeguard. She had her hands on her hips, wearing a sparkly swimsuit and one of those frilly skirts girls wear for no logical reason over their swimsuits. "About time," she said, flipping her ponytail like it had a dramatic soundtrack. "I thought you got kidnapped by your Xbox." "I had to find my other flip-flop," I said, which was technically true. "The dog ran off with it again." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever! You're here now! No cannonballs till I say so! Is this a pool party or a dictatorship?" Katie smirked. "Both! I'm the lifeguard, the snack boss, and the law." "Fine," I said, walking in through the gate. "But if you try to drown me again, I'm telling my mom." "That was one time, and it was an accident. You said you could hold your breath for 30 seconds. "Yeah, not while being pushed off a floaty." Katie just shrugged and tossed me a towel. Boys are so dramatic. I threw my towel on a lawn chair and looked around. The pool shimmered like something out of a TV commercial. There were floaties everywhere, a flamingo, a watermelon slice, even a giant glittery donut. It was like her pool had swallowed a toy store. This was going to be the best day of summer. Probably. At least, I thought so. But I had no idea what Katie had planned. Katie pointed toward the sliding glass door. "Go change inside. Bathrooms to the left. And don't drip on the rug or my mom will explode." "I'm not dripping yet," I said, holding up my rolled up swim trunks like a peace offering. Katie rolled her eyes again and flopped onto a pool float like she was queen of the backyard. I stepped into the house and instantly got hit with that familiar smell, chlorine mixed with air conditioning and whatever fancy candle her mom was obsessed with this week. Probably something called Ocean Breeze Unicorn Mist or something. The bathroom was where I remembered it, right off the kitchen. I shut the door, locked it, because duh, and unrolled my swim trunks. They were my favorite pair, red with a blue waistband and that cool fake drawstring that didn't actually do anything but looked awesome. I changed quick. Regular shorts off, swim trunks on. Easy! Except when I went to pull my t-shirt off, it got stuck on my head for a second, and I knocked over a bottle of lotion that hit the toilet lid and bounced onto the floor. Loudly. "Are you breaking stuff in there?" Katie's voice shouted from the backyard. "No!" I shouted back. "Just battling your overly aggressive hand soap." "Sounds like you're losing." I rolled my eyes and muttered, "Sounds like you're annoying." Once I got the shirt off, I gave myself a quick look in the mirror. Hair? Messy, as usual. Shoulders? Not terrible for a 10-year-old. Swim trunks? Still awesome. I picked up my clothes, opened the door, and tiptoed through the kitchen so I wouldn't drip on anything and spark Katie's mom's imaginary explosion. Back outside, the sun hit me like a heat ray from outer space. Katie was already floating in the pool, kicking her feet lazily. "About time," she said. "Did you have to wrestle your swim trunks onto your legs or something?" "I had to fight your lotion army," I said, tossing my shirt onto a chair. "They're fierce." Did you win? Barely. She grinned. Well, get in. Lifeguard Katie approves your swimwear. I stood at the edge of the pool, testing the water with my toe. It was the perfect temperature, cool but not freezing. I was about to do a proper jump in, nothing too wild, when Katie suddenly splashed me. Right in the face. Hey! I shouted, wiping water out of my eyes. That's a declaration of war. She stuck her tongue out. You started it with your face. Oh, it's on. And just like that, the epic splash battle of the century began. I didn't know it then, but this was more than just the start of a pool day. This was the beginning of something really weird. I launched myself into the pool with a splash that would have made a whale jealous. Water went everywhere, over the side, into my ears, probably onto Katie's prized inflatable donut. Worth it! Katie shrieked, half laughing, half annoyed. Ethan! That was a tsunami! My floaty nearly capsized. Consider it revenge for the sneak attack. She tried to splash me again, but I was already underwater, paddling away like a stealth submarine. I popped up behind the flamingo float, grabbed it like a shield, and declared war. The next 10 minutes were pure chaos, floaty wrestling, underwater sneak attacks, and one highly questionable game of Marco Polo where Katie kept cheating by opening her eyes. I caught her peeking at least twice. I'm not cheating! She yelled, dodging a pool noodle I threw at her. You're looking right at me while yelling Marco! Because you're slow and loud. At least I'm not blind and loud. We both cracked up. It was one of those moments where you forget it's summer, or that you're technically enemies in the boys versus girls universe. It was just water and sun and the kind of laughter that made your stomach hurt in a good way. I flopped onto the watermelon float and closed my eyes. The pool rocked gently, the sun baked my face, and I was about one lazy breath away from taking the world's most dangerous nap. Dangerous because Katie once drew a mustache on me with marker when I fell asleep during a movie. Ethan, Katie said suddenly. What? I cracked one eye open. Her face had gone serious. Not mad serious. Uh-oh serious. She was squinting past me, toward the street. Her hand shaded her eyes like a soldier spotting incoming enemy troops. Is that? She paused, frowning, my mom's car? My stomach did a weird little flip. I spun around on the float, nearly tipping it, and followed her gaze. A blue SUV was crawling slowly down the road. Familiar. Too familiar. Katie's voice dropped to a whisper. She's not supposed to be home till 4. Is it 4 now? Katie didn't answer. She just slowly sank lower into the water like a submarine about to go dark. The float rocked beneath me. The SUV turned onto her street. And just before it disappeared behind the hedge, Katie gasped. That's her! That's definitely her! And just like that, the pool party was over. Chapter 2, Unauthorized Pool Guest. Katie scrambled to the side of the pool so fast she nearly wiped out on the wet concrete. Katie? I said, still floating half off the watermelon. You okay? She didn't answer. She crouched near one of the potted plants beside the pool and yanked something out from under it, something long, shiny, and glowing faintly purple at the tip. Oh no! Her wand! Katie's family was, well, different. Not the we own a yoga studio and only eat organic cornflakes kind of different. No, her mom was a real witch. And not the Halloween kind with warts and cauldrons. She was a full-blown, spell-casting, hex-muttering, wand-twirling magical grown-up. Katie wasn't supposed to do magic unsupervised, especially after the blender incident, which we don't talk about. But she kept her wand hidden for emergencies. Apparently, this counted. Katie, I said slowly, dragging myself to the edge of the pool, what are you doing? She turned, her eyes wide and frantic. My mom's not supposed to be back yet. Yeah, I got that part. She told me, no friends over while she's out. Especially not boys. I blinked. Seriously? Just boys? Katie nodded, She says you guys cause the most property damage. Which, fair, I guess, considering the trampoline fire. That was one time, and technically your cat started it. Katie ignored that. She paced the deck, wand in hand, muttering to herself like she was solving a very stressful math problem. I climbed out of the pool, water dripping everywhere. Okay, look, I'll just hide. Behind the shed or something. Katie spun around. No! That won't work. She'll sense you. Sense me? I'm not radioactive. She has, like, mom radar. And a paranoia spell on the backyard. If she catches you here while she's gone, I'll be grounded until middle school. I held up my hands. So what do we do? Katie took a deep breath. I'm sorry. For WH. Zap! A flash of light exploded from the end of her wand and hit me square in the chest. It wasn't hot or cold, it was more like getting dunked in soda while your ears pop and someone yells bubblegum. In your face! My vision blurred, and everything around me spun like I was inside a washing machine. I stumbled backward, tripped over my own legs, which felt weirdly shorter now, and landed on my butt with a splash. I blinked up at Katie, who stared at me with a look that was part guilt, part panic. I looked down. My swim trunks were gone. Actually, I was gone. Or at least, Ethan version 1.0 was. In his place, in my place, was a girl. Same age. Same wet hair. But now I had thinner arms. Narrower shoulders, a red one-piece swimsuit that definitely wasn't mine. And legs. So many legs. They looked like Katie legs. What did you do to me? Katie winced. Temporary girl spell. Totally reversible. I think. I hope. You hope? She frantically waved her wand, then stuffed it back under the plant. Just act normal, okay? Like you're my friend from out school or something. My mom's pulling into the driveway. I opened my mouth to protest, but froze when I heard the clunk of a car door shutting in the front yard. Katie grabbed my arm. Smile! And whatever you do, don't say your real name. I stared down at the red swimsuit clinging to my body. It had blue trim. It sparkled. And it didn't have a waistband. Or pockets. Or even a decent way to adjust anything. It was tight. Not tight, but definitely not like the swim trunks I'd been wearing 2 seconds ago. My arms felt thinner. My legs were weirdly smooth. And when I tried to cross my arms, they didn't land the way they usually did. Why are there no pockets? I blurted. Where do girls even put stuff? Katie didn't answer. She was too busy pacing in circles like a stressed out squirrel. I glanced down again. Yup. Still a girl. This is so weird, I muttered. I tugged awkwardly at the shoulder straps like they were going to magically turn into sleeves or something. I feel like I'm wearing a unitard made of embarrassment. Katie snorted but quickly covered her mouth. Sorry. Sorry. I know it's a lot. But you do look pretty convincing. That is not comforting. I reached behind my head and felt hair. A lot more hair than usual. It was tied up in a bun, tight and bouncy, like a squishy ball of hair doom. Why is my hair like this? What did you do to my head? Katie shrugged helplessly. The spell just fills in the details. I didn't program your hairstyle, okay? I poked the bun. This feels like a hamster nest. Better than my first girl spell, she muttered. I ended up with 2 ponytails and glitter eyebrows. I turned and caught my reflection in the shiny side of the grill. Big eyes. Slightly pouty lips. And that bun. I looked like I should be asking someone for a juice box and then judging their outfit. This is a problem, I said. A big, sparkly, one-piece swimsuit level problem. No, the problem is in about 30 seconds my mom is going to walk out here and if she sees Ethan, I'm toast. I groaned and slumped onto the edge of a decked chair, arms flopping uselessly. What am I supposed to do? I don't even know how to be a girl. Katie gave me a look. Just be quiet, act normal, and don't blow my cover. she's only dropping off some stuff and leaving again. 5 minutes tops. I stood up, wobbled a little, and flailed. Why do my legs feel so weird? They bend wrong. They bend exactly the same, you drama queen. Before I could argue more, the sound of the back door sliding open made both of us freeze. Katie's eyes went wide. I straightened up, heart pounding, trying to remember how not to panic while wearing a red sparkly swimsuit and a hamster nest on my head. "Hi girls!" came her mom's voice, cheerful and clueless, for now. Katie elbowed me in the ribs and hissed under her breath, "Showtime, girl!" I stood as straight as possible, like maybe if I acted really tall and normal and not cursed, I wouldn't blow Katie's cover in the next 10 seconds. Her mom stepped out onto the deck with a reusable shopping bag in one arm and sunglasses pushed up on her head. "Hey girls," she said with a smile. "Didn't expect company today." Katie jumped in immediately. "This is Emily. She's, a friend from school. She just moved back into the neighborhood." I forced the fakest smile I'd ever smiled in my life. "Hi," I said, trying very hard not to sound like a boy pretending to be a girl pretending to be normal. "Nice pool." Katie's mom gave me a polite nod, squinting slightly. "Oh! How nice to meet you, Emily. I didn't know Katie invited anyone over today." Katie chuckled nervously. "Yeah, it was kind of last minute. Super casual. Pool day casual." Her mom dropped the bag near the back door and pulled her car keys back out. "Well, I'm just dropping off some files. I've got a client meeting across town, but I'll be back later tonight." I relaxed just a little. Just a smidge. She was leaving. That meant I had time to figure this out. I could go home, maybe talk Katie into reversing this, and then pretend none of this ever happened. Perfect! Her mom paused, hand on the door. "If Emily's still around by dinner, she's welcome to stay. We're having lasagna." I smiled again, tightly. "Thanks. But I'll probably be, not here." Katie elbowed me again. I cleared my throat. "I might have dinner plans. Somewhere else. My family is big on early dinners." Katie's mom laughed. "No worries, sweetie. It's nice to see Katie with friends from school again. You two behave." She slid the door shut behind her and disappeared inside. There was a pause, just long enough for both of us to realize we weren't immediately doomed, and then Katie exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for a week. "That," she said, "was way too close." I nodded stiffly, still feeling the way the swimsuit clung to me like cling wrap. "Yeah. Next time maybe we just hide me behind the pool filter instead of reprogramming my biology." Katie winced. "Sorry. But hey, she totally bought it." I flopped back into the deck chair. "She bought it because I'm now a walking, talking decoy named Emily." Katie grinned. "Emily suits you." I glared at her. I am not making it to dinner. I'm getting out of this body, out of this swimsuit, and out of this backyard before your mom gets back and I have to pretend I know what a contour brush is." Katie held up her hands. Fine. We'll undo the spell. But after a snack." I blinked. "A snack?" "Hey, magic takes energy," she said, already heading for the house. "Also, I burned through my last juice pouch. I'm starving." I watched her disappear inside while I sat there, arms crossed, in a sparkly red swimsuit with a bun on my head and my dignity floating somewhere in the shallow end. This was not how I pictured today going. Katie came back outside with a juice pouch in one hand and a granola bar in the other, looking entirely too pleased with herself. I was still sitting stiffly on the lounge chair, arms crossed, legs awkwardly bent like I didn't know where they were supposed to go, which I didn't. "Okay," I said the moment she stepped onto the deck. "Now that your mom's gone, undo the spell. Right now! Please!" Katie took a long sip of her juice, then blinked innocently. "Undo what spell?" I gave her the most deadpan stare I could manage. The one where I'm suddenly named Emily and look like I own 3 hairbrushes and a glitter diary. That one! She giggled. Oh my gosh, this is the best day of my life. Katie. She flopped onto the other chair next to me. Come on, you have to admit, it's kind of hilarious. No. No, I do not have to admit that. I'm living a nightmare. I have shoulders I don't recognize. I can feel my hair moving. Like swishing. That's not a thing that should be happening to me. Katie nearly choked on her granola bar from laughing. You're so dramatic. This isn't dramatic. This is biology theft. I don't know how to sit like this. I keep almost crossing my legs weird. Do girls cross their legs all the time? Is that a thing? Am I doing it wrong? Katie waved her hand. Relax, you're fine. You're totally passing as a normal girl. Great, I muttered. So now I'm stuck like this until you decide to stop giggling about it. She took another sip and smirked. Exactly. I flopped back onto the lounge chair and let out a long, dramatic sigh. This is the worst friend betrayal since you told everyone in second grade I cried at Finding Nemo. You did cry, she said with a grin. During the opening credits. His mom got eaten. That's trauma, she shrugged like it was ancient history. Anyway, relax, Emily. I'll turn you back eventually. I just want to hang out like this for a little while. It's fun seeing you like this. You're kinda cute, honestly. I stared at her. Do not call me cute. You're literally blushing. I am not. I was. I could feel it. My cheeks were on fire. Girls blush more, right? Was that a thing? My face felt like it was radiating off the sun. Katie just laughed harder. Yup. This is definitely the best day ever. I slumped deeper into the chair and groaned. Best day ever for her, maybe. But for me? It was still the day I got ambushed by magic, hijacked by a sparkly swimsuit, and renamed Emily. Katie stood up, stretched her arms over her head like she didn't have a care in the world, and then ran toward the pool. Cannonball! She yelled, right before she leapt and crashed into the water with a splash big enough to soak the hedge. I sat up straighter, blinking water off my face. Seriously? You're still in party mode? She popped back up, laughing. Come on, Emily! You gonna sit there sulking all afternoon or actually enjoy the best pool in the neighborhood? I am not, I started, but she splashed me before I could finish. Oh, you're going in now, I muttered, standing up. You asked for it. The deck boards were hot under my feet as I jogged toward the deep end. I hesitated for half a second, just half, but then jumped. I hit the water like a dropped bowling ball, and everything went silent underwater. Cool. Blue. Weightless. I kicked my legs and swam up, and when I broke the surface, I gasped, half from the chill, half from something else I couldn't quite name. I treaded water, blinking as the sun caught the ripples all around me. For a moment, I forgot I was wearing a red sparkly prison of spandex. I wasn't thinking about being Emily or not having pockets or how weird it felt to have a bun bouncing on my head every time I moved. I was just swimming. And then it hit me. I didn't hate it. I glanced down. The one piece hugged close, but it wasn't bothering me as much anymore. It didn't feel like I was wearing someone else's skin. It just felt like swimwear. Like a part of me had adjusted. Wait! Was I adjusting? Katie swam over and gave me a gentle splash in the face. See? Not so bad, is it? I blinked. I mean, it's fine. For now, I guess. She grinned. Told you. You're not even fidgeting with the straps anymore. I reached up instinctively, and stopped. She was right. I wasn't tugging or squirming or trying to climb out of the suit with my brain. I was fine. Weirdly fine. Still want me to change you back right now? She asked, voice teasing. I hesitated. Just for a second. I mean, eventually, I said. Just maybe after one more swim. Katie raised an eyebrow. You sure, Emily? I rolled my eyes. Don't push it. But secretly, quietly, just between me and the echoey silence underwater, I didn't mind the name quite as much as I had 10 minutes ago. Chapter 3, Just Like Sisters. After another 15 minutes of splashing, floating, and trying not to admit I was actually enjoying myself, Katie swam to the side and hoisted herself out of the pool. "Alright," she said, wringing out her ponytail, "time to dry off." I paddled toward the steps. "Yeah! Finally! Now you can zap me back and I'll go home before my brain forgets how to be a dude." Katie rolled her eyes, already grabbing a towel from the chair. "Not yet." I blinked. "What do you mean not yet? You said eventually. This feels like eventually." She wrapped the towel around her waist and gave me a look. "You're still in the spell zone, and if I undo it now and Mom's magic radar goes off, we're both toast." "That's not a real thing," I muttered, pulling myself out of the water. She raised an eyebrow. "You wanna test that theory?" I groaned. "Fine! But I can still wear my own clothes, right? I'll just throw them on and wait this out in the garage or something." Katie snorted. "Yeah, about that." I froze. "No! No no no! Don't say it! You're not putting your boy clothes over a wet swimsuit in this heat," she said, already digging through her beach bag. "You'll smell like boiled socks in 5 minutes." I crossed my arms. "Then give me a towel or a blanket or, I dunno, a magic invisibility cloak." She looked up and grinned. "Or, you could borrow something of mine." My stomach did a weird backflip. "Katie! No!" She held up a pale yellow sundress with little white flowers on it. It fluttered in the breeze like a tiny flag of doom. "This is so cute," she said cheerfully. "Perfect for a hot day! Plus, it'll keep the illusion going just in case my mom swings back around." I stared at it like it was radioactive. "I'm not putting that on." She shrugged. "Okay! Then you can sit in a soggy swimsuit all day. Your call." I looked down. The swimsuit was clinging more now that I was out of the pool. And walking around in it, especially barefoot on hot pavement, sounded like a special kind of torture. "Still. It's a dress, Katie. It's a sundress, Emily. Big difference. Breezy. Light. And I promise, no one's gonna laugh at you." I groaned and took the towel she tossed me. I hate everything about this. But, a few minutes later, I found myself standing in her room, holding the sundress up and trying to figure out the front from the back. I slipped it over my head, and to my horror, it fit. Too well. Katie grinned when I stepped back outside. "See? You look adorable." "Do not say that word around me," I grumbled. "Ever." She looped her arm through mine like we were going shopping or something. "Let's hang out inside for a bit. You, me. Just like sisters." "Sisters?" I echoed, voice cracking slightly. She nodded. "Yep. You're my little summer sister now." I didn't say anything. Because part of me was still yelling this is temporary, but another part, one I really didn't want to talk about, wasn't quite as mad about it as I thought I'd be. I sat on the edge of Katie's bed, the sundress falling around my knees like a picnic blanket I didn't ask for. My legs were pressed awkwardly together, and I kept fidgeting with the hem like maybe if I tugged at it enough, it would magically transform into a pair of jeans. Spoiler, it didn't! Katie plopped down across from me in her desk chair, spinning once, then stopping to look at me. She didn't say anything right away. I sighed and shifted again. "How do you even sit in this thing? I feel like I'm constantly about to flash a squirrel or something." Katie laughed. "You get used to it. I'm not planning on keeping it long enough to get used to it." She tilted her head. "You sure? You've been wearing it for, like, 10 minutes and haven't exploded yet," I grumbled. Another spin in the chair. Then she asked, casually, "Hey! Did you ever wonder what it'd be like? You know, wearing a dress? Like, before today?" I blinked. "What? No! Why would I?" She raised her eyebrows. I hesitated, looked down at my lap, picked at the corner of the hem. I mean, maybe once. Just wondering why girls always wore them to weddings and stuff. Or how they weren't constantly freezing in winter. Katie smirked. That's not exactly what I meant. I rubbed the back of my neck and shrugged. I dunno. I guess I just never really thought about it. It's just clothes, right? Right, she said, softly. And now you're in one. And you haven't burst into flames or anything. I looked down again. The fabric was light. The straps weren't itchy. It even had little pockets, tiny ones, but still. Not awful. Just weird. Still feels, I don't know, wrong. Like I'm playing dress up at a sleepover I wasn't invited to. Katie smiled, but this time it was gentler. Not teasing. Well, you are technically at a sleepover. Just without the sleep. Or the over. I gave her a look. That made 0 sense. She grinned. Whatever. You're pulling it off. I rolled my eyes but didn't argue. For once. And the weirdest part? That didn't bother me as much as it should have. Katie finally stopped spinning in her chair and stood up. She walked over, then sat beside me on the bed, her knees bumping gently against mine. For a second, we just sat there in silence, the only sound being the soft hum of the fan spinning overhead. Then she looked at me. Alright. Are you ready? I swallowed. You mean, to go back? She nodded. Back to Ethan. Back to Boyu. No more dress. No more bun. Back to basics. I didn't answer right away. I glanced down at the yellow sundress one more time, at how it folded neatly in my lap, how strange and not so strange it felt now. But still, this wasn't me. Not really. Yeah, I said finally. Let's do it. Katie stood and stepped back, holding out her wand. Okay, stand up. I need a clear shot. I got to my feet, smoothing the dress awkwardly as I stood in the center of the room like I was about to be knighted. Or vaporized. Possibly both. Katie raised the wand. Her voice shifted, calm, steady, just like I'd heard when she did serious spells. Veritas Revertus. Identitatem Reto. Soft, shimmering light began to swirl around me, little glowing wisps of purple and gold curling like ribbon in the air. I held my breath. The wisps spun faster, faster. And then fizzled out. Gone. Just like that. Nothing happened. I looked down. Still in the dress. Still with the hair. Still Emily. Katie blinked. What? I stared at her. Katie? She stepped forward and tried again, louder this time. Veritas Revertus. Identitatem, come on. The wand sparked. A flicker of magic. A swirl of air. Then nothing. She lowered the wand slowly. Oops, she whispered. My stomach dropped. Katie? What do you mean oops? She gave me a nervous smile. I think we might have a small problem. Chapter 4 The Girl in the Photo. Katie stood frozen, her wand hanging loosely at her side like it had betrayed her. I stood there, still standing, still breathing, still Emily. The sundress clung to me like it had always belonged. But it hadn't. I knew that. Right? Right? But something felt off. Like I was looking at the world through a window that had slowly started to fog up. Try it again, I said, voice tighter than I wanted. Do the spell again. Katie blinked, then shook her head quickly. Why yeah, okay. Maybe I flubbed the ending. But even as she raised the wand again, I could see the doubt forming behind her eyes. She cast the spell 3 more times. Nothing. A flicker of light. A swirl of magic. And then, nothing. It was like the spell had never existed. I sat back down, this time more slowly, like the weight of the sundress had doubled. I could feel something happening inside me, like the part of me that was Ethan had started sliding to the back seat. It didn't feel like I was changing again. It felt like I was forgetting. "Katie," I said quietly, "this feels wrong. I don't just look different anymore. I feel different. Like, I don't know how to be Ethan right now." She opened her mouth to say something, but her eyes drifted toward her desk. There, tucked into the corner of a corkboard, was a small framed photo from the end of last school year, our class picture. Katie stepped over and picked it up. "No!" she breathed. "What?" I asked, already standing. "What is it?" She turned the photo around and held it up to me. My breath caught in my throat. There I was, or rather, there she was. Emily Jacobs. Standing in the second row with the other girls, smiling like she belonged there. Same brown hair. Same ponytail. Same face. And Ethan? Gone. "Where am I?" I asked, voice hollow. Katie didn't answer. Her hands were already digging through her bookshelf. She yanked out last year's yearbook, flipping furiously to the student portraits. Her finger slid down the E's. I leaned in behind her. No Ethan Taylor! But right there, between Emma Holt and Eric Donnelly, was Emily Jacobs. Me! As if I'd always been there. Katie closed the book and just stared at the cover. "This isn't just a spell anymore," she said slowly. I swallowed. "What do you mean?" She looked up at me, her voice barely a whisper. "I think reality changed with you." I sat back down on the edge of Katie's bed, my knees pressed together, hands resting neatly on my lap without even thinking about it. The yellow sundress swayed gently as I moved. I didn't adjust it this time. I didn't even notice the straps anymore. My head felt cloudy, like waking up from a nap and trying to remember what day it is. Katie still had the yearbook open in her lap, but she was watching me now, her expression somewhere between worried and stunned. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. I opened my mouth to answer. And paused. I wanted to say "Yeah, I'm okay, Katie." But what I actually said was, "Yeah, I think I'm okay." Not Ethan. Just okay. She caught it too. I saw her blink, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Hey," she said carefully, "what's your name?" I looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, just tell me. Don't think. Say it." I hesitated. My mouth opened. And for a heartbeat, I couldn't remember. My chest tightened. I knew there was something before, some name that didn't quite fit in this voice, this body. But it was like trying to grab a dream after waking up, it kept slipping away the harder I reached for it. "Emily," I said quietly, finally. "I'm Emily." Katie didn't say anything. She just nodded, lips pressed into a thin line. I shifted uncomfortably. "Is that bad?" "No," she said quickly. "It's not bad. Just unexpected." I looked down again, at my painted toes and the way the dress pulled slightly at my thighs when I sat. A weird sense of warmth filled my chest. Not panic. Not shame. Something else. "I think I want people to call me she," I said quietly. Even saying that felt strange, but right. Katie leaned forward a little. "You mean, for real?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I mean, it's not like I planned this. But it just feels..." I trailed off, struggling to find the words. "Normal. I don't know how else to explain it." Katie didn't smile. She didn't tease. She just nodded slowly. "We'll figure this out," she said. I nodded back. But in the back of my mind, a quiet voice whispered something I hadn't considered before. What if there's nothing to figure out? What if this was who I was supposed to be all along? Katie had been flipping through her spellbook for the past 20 minutes, muttering to herself, her finger tracing messy notes scribbled in the margins. "This doesn't make sense," she said for the 5th time. I followed every step. Right incantation, right wand movement, I even used the safe modifier rune. I sat cross-legged on the carpet, absently playing with the hem of the sundress. It had a tiny rip near the seam, nothing big, just a loose thread, but I couldn't stop fidgeting with it. "You sure you didn't mix something up?" I asked softly, watching her from across the room. Katie gave me a sharp look. "Emily, I triple-checked it. It was supposed to be a temporary disguise spell. Just visual. It shouldn't have altered anything beyond appearance. Definitely not reality." I looked down at myself. My hands were smaller. My wrists thinner. The skin soft and smooth. I tugged lightly at the bun tied behind my head, then let my fingers trail through the long strands that had started to fall loose. It didn't feel fake. It didn't feel wrong. And that was what scared me. Katie snapped the book shut and flopped onto her back with a dramatic groan. "I'm a magical failure. I've officially crossed into witchy disaster territory." "You're not a failure," I said automatically, still twirling a strand of my hair. "You're just figuring it out." She sat up halfway, eyes squinting at me. "Why are you so calm about this? You were freaking out like an hour ago." I hesitated, then shrugged. "I don't know. I feel different. More like..." I trailed off, frowning. "More like me." Katie blinked. "More like Emily?" I nodded. She sat up fully, hugging a pillow to her chest. "I mean, you do seem more chill now. Not like old Ethan chill. Like you're comfortable." I bit my lip. "Is that bad?" "No," she said quickly. "Not bad. Just unexpected." I stood and walked to the mirror, turning slightly to see the dress swish with the motion. It moved with me like I'd worn it 100 times. Then I noticed it, my posture had changed. Subtle things. The way I held my arms. The way I tilted my head when I looked at my reflection. It wasn't forced. It was natural. Katie came up behind me, still hugging the pillow. "You're becoming her," she said quietly. "And I don't think it's just magic anymore." I met her eyes in the mirror. "What if I don't want to go back?" I asked. The words left my mouth before I even realized I meant them. But I did. I really did. Katie had gone back to flipping pages again, still muttering about magical theories and stabilization runes, but I wasn't really paying attention anymore. Something had caught my eye. Her closet door was open just a crack, and inside I could see the edge of a lavender hoodie with little heart patches on the sleeves. There was a soft pink cardigan next to it, and a sundress, this one blue with tiny sunflowers. Without thinking, I stood and walked over. I pulled the door open wider, revealing the rest of Katie's wardrobe: skirts, leggings, crop tops, jean jackets with patches, a soft flannel that looked like it would be perfect for a cold morning. "Wow," I breathed. "You have so many cute clothes." Katie paused, mid-page turn. "Oh! Thanks?" I ran my fingers across the hangers, admiring the colors, the patterns, the textures. I wasn't even thinking about it, it was like muscle memory, like I'd done this before in my own closet 100 times. "I've got some cute stuff too," I said absently. "There's this teal top I love that goes with my white jeans. And I've got these sandals that match almost everything." Silence. I turned slightly. Katie was staring at me, eyebrows drawn low. "Wait," she said slowly, "what do you mean your clothes?" I blinked. "What do you mean? What do I mean?" She stood up, her voice careful. "Emily! You were wearing boy clothes when you got here. Remember?" I stared at her, confused. "No, I didn't. Why would I?" She stepped closer, eyes wide now. "Emily, you were a boy. Your name was Ethan. Don't you remember?" My mouth opened, but nothing came out. "Ethan?" That name sounded distant. Like a story I heard a long time ago. Or a character in a book. It didn't feel like me. I shook my head. "No! That's not right! My name's Emily. It's always been Emily." Katie's face paled. "Oh no," she whispered. But I just turned back to the closet, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear as I picked up a floral skirt. "Do you think this would look cute with that sunflower top?" Katie didn't say much as she walked down the stairs. She moved quickly, like she was trying to outrun the silence. I followed her, the hem of my sundress swishing lightly around my knees, bare feet soft against the hardwood steps. Something in her posture had changed. Her shoulders were stiff, and she wasn't talking. That wasn't like Katie. We stepped out into the backyard, the sun still warm over the pool, floaties lazily drifting in the breeze. It felt like it should have been a normal summer afternoon. Except it wasn't. Katie walked straight over to the lounge chair where my backpack was still sitting, the same backpack I'd brought as Ethan. Without a word, she unzipped it and started pulling things out. "Hey, what are you doing?" I asked, frowning as I caught up to her. But she didn't answer. She pulled out a rolled up outfit and stopped cold. In her hands was a pale blue skirt, soft and pleated, with tiny embroidered stars along the hem. Beneath it, a white top with a flared bottom and little ruffled sleeves. Girly! Cute! Something I'd totally wear! And sitting right at the bottom of the bag! A pair of tan, strappy girls' sandals! Katie stared at the clothes like they were radioactive. "I packed this?" I asked, stepping closer. Katie looked up at me, her voice barely a whisper. "This was your backpack! You had boy clothes in here! I saw them!" I tilted my head. "Katie! What are you talking about? These are my clothes! You've seen me wear that skirt before, haven't you?" Her mouth opened, then shut. She looked down at the outfit again, like maybe if she stared hard enough, the truth would reappear. But it didn't. Because to me, it all made perfect sense. That was my skirt. That was my top. Those were my sandals. And there was no sign that they'd ever been anything else. We were still standing by the pool when Katie suddenly went rigid. "Oh no," she whispered. I turned, squinting toward the street. A familiar blue SUV was slowly rolling down the road, signal flashing as it turned into Katie's driveway. Her mom! Before I could even say anything, Katie grabbed my hand. "Come on!" "What, where are we?" She didn't answer. She yanked me up the lawn and toward the driveway, sandals forgotten on the grass. I stumbled after her, heart pounding, the sundress flaring around my legs as we skidded to a stop just as the car pulled in. Katie's mom stepped out, sunglasses still on, her keys jangling in her hand. "Girls? Everything okay?" Katie didn't hesitate. "Mom," she blurted out. "I have to tell you something. Something big. Something magical." Her mom raised an eyebrow slowly. "Alright. What happened now?" Katie took a deep breath, hands flying everywhere like she was trying to physically catch the story. "This is Emily," she said, motioning toward me. But she wasn't always Emily. She used to be Ethan. A boy. I blinked. "Katie, what are you?" She kept going, talking fast like if she stopped, she might lose the courage to finish. "I invited him over to swim, and I knew I wasn't supposed to have boys over while you were gone, so when I saw your car coming, I panicked. I had my wand, and I thought, okay, just a simple temporary transformation spell. 1 hour, max. I'd change him back as soon as you left again." Katie's mom slowly took off her sunglasses, now staring directly at me. Katie's voice was rising. "But when I tried to change him back, it didn't work. And then Ethan started acting different. Like he was actually Emily. Like he'd always been Emily. And then I looked at the yearbook, and the class photo, and he was just gone. Replaced by her. It's like the spell rewrote everything." She pointed at me again. "That's not Emily. That's Ethan." My mouth was dry. I couldn't move. I looked up at Katie's mom, trying to find the right thing to say. Trying to understand why Katie was saying any of this. I said, my voice small. "Katie's just tired. Maybe a little sun-stunned?" Her mom looked from me to Katie, her face unreadable. I turned to Katie, my voice shaking. "Katie, Why are you saying all this? I am Emily. Her face crumpled, just for a second, like I'd hit her. No, you're not, she said quietly, you're my friend. My best friend. Ethan? You hate sparkles. You've never worn a dress. You broke my Barbie microwave when we were 7 and tried to blame the dog. I frowned. That doesn't sound like me. Katie's mom stepped forward, slowly. Okay, she said carefully, I think we all need to take a breath and go inside. This is a lot. Katie looked like she wanted to scream. Mom, you have to believe me. But I was barely hearing her now. Because somewhere deep in my chest, something was shifting. A tiny flicker. Of doubt. Or maybe. Of memory. That flicker of memory, it was there for a moment. Something about a blue towel. A voice yelling Cannonball. My old swim trunks. My old name. Ethan? But then it was gone. Like a bubble popping just before you could touch it. I blinked, and the thought was dust. Katie's mom gave both of us a look that said we're done discussing this in the driveway. Inside, she said firmly. Katie opened her mouth to argue, but her mom was already turning around and unlocking the front door. We followed in silence. The air conditioning hit the moment we stepped inside, making goosebumps crawl up my arms. The familiar scent of her mom's eucalyptus candles drifted through the house, comforting, grounding. I stood awkwardly by the kitchen island, still in the yellow sundress, still barefoot, still not understanding why Katie was acting like this. Then her mom turned to me and snapped her fingers. Snap! Just one sharp, echoing sound. And everything came flooding back. It hit me like a punch to the chest. The pool. Katie shouting no boys allowed. The wand. The spell. The swimsuit. The skirt. The dress. My name. Ethan? I gasped and stumbled back a step, grabbing the edge of the counter to steady myself. Oh my god, I whispered. I remember. I remember everything. I looked up at Katie, who was staring at me with wide eyes full of relief and guilt. I looked down. The dress still clung to my body. My hands, small, delicate. My arms. My shoulders. Still Emily's. My reflection stared at me from the glass of the microwave, long red hair, soft features, wide eyes. My body was still a girl's. But my mind was mine again. I was Ethan. And I was still trapped. Chapter 5 The Hidden Spell. I stood there in the kitchen, gripping the counter, breathing hard. My heart was racing like I'd just run a mile barefoot through gravel. The yellow sundress clung to my skin, and I could feel my long hair sticking to the back of my neck. But now I remembered why. I wasn't Emily. Not originally. I was Ethan. And I had been turned into a girl. Katie stood next to me, wide-eyed and pale, her hands clenched into little fists. Across from us, her mom was calm, but it was that dangerous kind of calm, like when a storm's just about to break and the clouds haven't figured it out yet. She leaned against the counter, watching me. Well, she said, I guess this conversation's happening a few years earlier than I planned. I blinked. Wait, what? She looked over at Katie. You know how I always said no boys over when I'm not home? I wasn't just being strict. Katie frowned. What does that have to do with anything? Her mom sighed and rubbed her forehead. When I was 15, she said, I snuck a boy into the house. A boy I liked, a lot. We were hanging out by the pool, like you two were today. I thought we were being careful. But then my mom came home early. Katie's jaw dropped. Grandma? She had a sixth sense about those things, her mom muttered. Anyway, I panicked. I had my wand with me. I cast a disguise spell and turned him into a girl. Katie stared. You turned a boy into a girl? Her mom nodded. A teen girl with curly hair, freckles, and the most confused look I've ever seen. I told my mom she was a cousin from out of town. She bought it. I was still standing frozen, but the next part hit me even harder. "That boy," she said, "the one I turned into a girl to hide from my mom? He's now your father." Katie let out a squeak. "What?" I stared at her mom. "Wait! So this exact thing happened to you?" She nodded again, more serious now. "And that's why, years ago, I created a booby trap in the spell, just in case it was ever used again. To make sure that if someone tried to reverse the disguise spell before the right time, it wouldn't just undo the magic. It would go deeper." Katie stepped forward, voice sharp. "Deeper how?" Her mom looked at me. "It doesn't just turn the boy into a girl physically," she said. "It rewrites the world around them. Their memories, their wardrobe, their records, even their identity. So if anyone tried to hide a boy as a girl and then take it back too soon..." She let that hang in the air for a beat. Katie's voice was barely above a whisper. "It turns the boy's world into a girl's world." Her mom nodded solemnly. "I never expected you to try it. Not at 10 years old, I thought if anything, it might happen when you were a teenager. But here we are." I stumbled back and sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs. "So you're saying, this was a trap? You set this up on purpose?" "I set it up as a failsafe," her mom said quietly. "To protect you. To protect you from using that spell irresponsibly. But you activated it. And now..." She looked at me again. But her eyes were softer this time. Not angry. Just honest. "Now Ethan is Emily. And the world is starting to believe it. Even you are starting to believe it." I looked down at my hands again, my small, soft, delicate hands. "I still remember what it felt like," I said. "Being her. Thinking it was all normal." Katie sat beside me, silent. Her mom crossed her arms. "The question now is, what do you want to do?" I stared at the tiled floor for a long time. The silence in the kitchen felt heavy, not awkward, but full, like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for me to break the spell with words alone. Katie sat beside me, quiet, eyes watching my face. Her mom stood near the sink, arms crossed, but not in a judgmental way. She was waiting, too. I took a deep breath and looked up. "I want to go back," I said softly. Katie blinked. "Back? To being a boy," I said. My voice was steady this time. "I want to be me again. Not this version the spell created. Not what the yearbook says. Not what's in my backpack. I want to be Ethan." Katie's mom nodded slowly, like she'd expected that answer, but still took it seriously. "You're sure?" she asked. I nodded. I remember what it felt like, thinking I was Emily. And yeah, it wasn't awful. It was easy. Too easy. Like I was getting pulled into someone else's life. But now that I remember, who I am, who I was, I paused, swallowing. I don't want to lose that again. Katie reached over and took my hand. Her grip was tight, but warm. "We'll figure it out. Right, Mom?" Her mom nodded, this time more firmly. "Yes. But you both need to understand something." We looked up at her. "This isn't a simple fix. The magic that was triggered wasn't just a transformation spell, it's reality binding. That means the longer Ethan stays in this form, the deeper the changes will go. The world is already adjusting itself. If we wait too long..." She hesitated. "There may be nothing left to reverse." I felt my stomach drop. "So there's a time limit?" "Not a clear one," she said. "But the window is closing. If we're going to bring Ethan back, we need to act now." Katie squeezed my hand tighter. "Then let's do it," I said. Katie's mom gave a short nod and turned toward the hallway. "I'm going to get the spellbook. Not my copy, the original. The one I used back then. If there's a way to reverse this, it's in there." She walked off, leaving me and Katie alone in the kitchen. I looked down at our hands, mine still delicate, still unfamiliar. But my mind was clear. I was Ethan. And I wanted me back. stared at the tiled floor for a long time. The silence in the kitchen felt heavy, not awkward, but full, like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for me to break the spell with words alone. Katie sat beside me, quiet, eyes watching my face. Her mom stood near the sink, arms crossed, but not in a judgmental way. She was waiting, too. I took a deep breath and looked up. "I want to go back," I said softly. Katie blinked. "Back? To being a boy," I said. My voice was steady this time. "I want to be me again. Not this version the spell created. Not what the yearbook says. Not what's in my backpack. I wanted to be Ethan." Katie's mom nodded slowly, like she'd expected that answer, but still took it seriously. "You're sure?" she asked. I nodded. I remember what it felt like, thinking I was Emily. And yeah, it wasn't awful. It was easy. Too easy. Like I was getting pulled into someone else's life. But now that I remember who I am, who I was, I paused, swallowing. I don't want to lose that again. Katie reached over and took my hand. Her grip was tight, but warm. "We'll figure it out. Right, Mom?" Her mom nodded, this time more firmly. "Yes. But you both need to understand something." We looked up at her. "This isn't a simple fix. The magic that was triggered wasn't just a transformation spell, it's reality binding. That means the longer Ethan stays in this form, the deeper the changes will go. The world is already adjusting itself. If we wait too long..." She hesitated. "There may be nothing left to reverse." I felt my stomach drop. "So there's a time limit?" "Not a clear one," she said. "But the window is closing. If we're going to bring Ethan back, we need to act now." Katie squeezed my hand tighter. "Then let's do it," I said. Katie's mom gave a short nod and turned toward the hallway. "I'm going to get the spellbook. Not my copy, the original. The one I used back then. If there's a way to reverse this, it's in there." She walked off, leaving me and Katie alone in the kitchen. I looked down at our hands, mine still delicate, still unfamiliar. But my mind was clear. I was Ethan. And I wanted me back. Katie's mom returned minutes later carrying an old, worn spellbook bound in deep green leather, the corners scuffed, the gold trim faded. It looked ancient. Serious. Real. She placed it gently on the counter, flipping through pages lined with delicate handwritten notes, symbols, and diagrams that shimmered faintly when touched. "This spell was never meant to be used lightly," she said, voice low. "What we're about to do will take effort, focus, and honesty. Reality's been bent to fit one version of you, Ethan. This will force it to bend back." Katie stood beside me, tense but hopeful. I swallowed hard and nodded. "I'm ready." Her mom raised her wand, murmured an incantation under her breath, and then began tracing shimmering sigils in the air. Magic gathered around me, warm, bright, humming with power. I could feel it in my chest, like electricity buzzing through my ribs. The light wrapped around me in swirling gold and blue wisps, pulling tighter and tighter, until I couldn't see the kitchen, or Katie, or anything else. Just light. And then, a rush of air. The hum snapped. The magic popped. And everything went still. I blinked. The first thing I noticed was the weight. The sundress was gone. I looked down to find a soft gray t-shirt and navy blue shorts in its place. My arms were broader. My hands, bigger, rougher. My legs, longer. No swish of a skirt. No ponytail brushing my neck. No delicate frame. I was me. Ethan? I let out a slow, shaky breath and looked up at Katie. She grinned. There he is! Katie's mom lowered the wand, exhaling with relief. It's done! And not a moment too soon. I looked back at my reflection in the kitchen window, hair messy, t-shirt wrinkled, but unmistakably mine. I was back! But I knew, deep down, some part of me had changed forever. The ride home was quiet. Katie had offered to walk with me, but I said I wanted to go alone. After everything that had happened, the spell, the memories, the dress, Emily, I needed space to think. The late afternoon sun was dipping low, casting long shadows over the sidewalks. My sneakers scuffed against the concrete as I passed familiar houses that now felt just slightly different. I looked down at my clothes again, boy clothes. My t-shirt was a little wrinkled, the kind I'd had forever. The shorts were mine, too. The way they hung on my legs, the way they fit, felt right. But even now, something inside me felt off. Not wrong. Just different. I caught my reflection in a car window and paused. There I was, Ethan again. Freckles. Messy hair. Slightly crooked smile. But for the tiniest second, I thought I saw her. Emily. Just a flicker in the glass. A ghost of what had been. I blinked, and she was gone. I kept walking. When I got home, everything was where I left it. My room still had the same posters, the same video game controllers, the same slightly dented action figures on the shelf, no dresses in my closet. No sparkly swimsuits. No sandals. But as I sat on the edge of my bed, I caught myself pulling my legs up to sit cross-legged, the way I had in Katie's room, without even thinking. My hands folded in my lap. And just for a second, a very small, quiet part of me wondered what it would be like to wear that yellow sundress again. I shook the thought away, smiling to myself. I was Ethan. But I had been Emily, too. And maybe, just maybe, some part of me always would be.